You see, something is going to happen. Something wonderful.
My God, it's full of stars.
Welcome to the NY Patriot Show. In this episode, I have my co-host Lisa with me today. Thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And in this episode, because it's getting close to Halloween, and just because it was a little bit easier for me with everything else that I'm working on to do an episode, but I do find it interesting for a couple of reasons. There's some interesting lore behind it, and then for the things that do actually have been proven to exist, there's actually, to me, some interesting stories behind what these things could be or what they were used for. But in this episode, as you can see in the title, it's staircases in the woods, random staircases in the woods. And I think it was pretty interesting. So I guess if we want, you can start it off with the whole lore aspect, and I'll pull up that.
Yeah. Okay, so this kind of all got kicked off according to most posts, and then I went to the original post and then grabbed that and basically put it up on a slide so that we can all read it together. But so basically, a post appeared on August 25th in 2015 by a user that went by the handle Search and Rescue Woods. And when it appeared, it described different stories that I guess the person encountered at the job. But somewhere in all of his posts, they described a story of a random staircase being found in the woods. So the post is made by the search and rescue officer that he works for the U.S. Forest Service, and goes on to describe an account of finding a random abandoned staircase in the woods. And so once he posted that, all these comments started pouring in of all these other people that also had encountered random staircases in the woods. And then you have places around the world, like in Germany and Sweden, and all these other stuff starts pouring in. One of the things that stood out for me that I was reading through all the comments of people talking about them finding staircases in the wood is that they're all made of different things: brick, wood, stone, or iron, different states of weathering or condition of the stairs. They all had different shapes and sizes. But the one thing that was common is that they were clear of vegetation, which is odd because usually if they're random staircases that are just abandoned, eventually vegetation will overtake them. And so I found that kind of interesting that they were not, covered in vegetation, and that they were mainly found in parks. So that was another one. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think after a few summers you'd even notice something growing up at some point.
Something, a vine, I don't know.
I just remember as a kid even having to deal with that as out in Long Island. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ripping shit out of the fences every other summer because the vines are growing through them now.
But apparently not the staircases. Yeah. So I'm just going to read briefly the original post that kicked it all off. So the last story that was included in the post, it starts off like this. This is the last one I'll tell, and it's probably the weirdest story I have. Now, I don't know if this is true in every SRA, which is Search and Rescue Unit, but in mine, it's sort of an unspoken, regular thing we run into. You can try asking about it with other SR officers, but even if they know what you're talking about, they probably won't say anything about it. We've been told not to talk about it by our superiors, and at this point, we've all gotten so used to it that it doesn't even seem weird anymore. On just about every case where we're really far into the wilderness, I'm talking about 30 to 40 miles, at some point we'll find a staircase in the middle of the woods. It's almost like if you took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and put them in the forest. I asked about it the first time I saw one. When he said the first time I saw one, I was like, you've seen multiple? Sorry, that wasn't in part of the post. That was my insert. But, and the other officer just told me not to worry about it, that it was normal. Everyone I asked about said the same thing. I wanted to go check them out, but I was told very empathetically that I should never go near any of them. I just sort of ignore them now when I run into them because it happens so frequently. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, if the actual mileage is correct. I
The
wonder,
30, 40 miles?
Yeah, like, I wonder if you were to, I guess, try to figure a park that would be big enough to be able to be 30 or 40 miles at some point to get in. You might be able to figure out where some of these places are.
Right, right. I mean, that's true.
Because if you think
yeah.
about it, that's actually pretty big.
No, it's, and I figured it would be out west somewhere because that's where you have the bigger parks. But in the post, it doesn't say exactly where the actual place was. Very ominous.
Probably talking about
that.
Yellowstone.
Yeah, maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and cover some of the urban legends associated with the stairs that were posted on this. And I attached some pictures that every time you look up some of these urban legends or the lore surrounding these stairs, these pictures pop up associated with them. Not that these stairs are actually at that location of where they're talking about. It's just it's a commonality of these stairs are constantly being posted associated with these stories.
We both try to, like, validate 100% that
Right.
these are real, but you can't, unfortunately.
No. Okay, so the first one is called Staircase of Missing Time or Ladder of Lost Time. So the story goes that in the dense jungles of the Philippines, a park ranger had been dispatched out to an area to look for lost hikers when he then came upon some stairs in the middle of a jungle. In some of the stories, they claim that the ranger decided to climb the stairs as it would offer a good vantage point to look for the lost hikers. Yet in some other stories, they claim that he encountered a terrifying stray dog and ascended them to escape. And then there's other stories that say, no, when he was at the top of the stairs, that's when he found the stray, terrifying dog. So there's a dog, there's a stairs, he ascended them.
And he may not have been looking for somebody.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So he goes on to describe that stairs were made of stone and they had decorative patterns on them and nonetheless climbed the stairs. When he came back down off of the stairs, he went back into the office. Believing he had only been gone for a few hours, came into the office to find out that he no longer had a job because he had been fired for not showing back up to work as he had been missing for 5 years.
That's fucked out. Imagine some shit like that happens.
No. But you still look the same.
Yeah, and I think even in the story, they even said that his wife had remarried already, too.
Oh, damn.
I was
5
like,
years?
yo, imagine.
Wow.
That's what I was
5
even
years,
thinking.
You've been waiting 6.
Like, you came back and it's like, oh, man, my job. Damn, and your wife, too. Like, holy crap.
Damn.
Like,
Yeah. Like, how soon after, though? But, okay. So that was in the Philippines. And the vanishing staircase. This one I found kind of interesting. So in the 1940s, the scientists working for the CDC as infection specialists were called out to locations of animal mutilation to investigate. What these investigators assumed would only take a few weeks out in the field ended up keeping them there for longer than 6 months. During this time, the investigators claimed to have seen stairs that were giving off strange frequencies. The scientists would go on to report that they would see the set of stairs. The stairs would then vanish, leaving a dark spot where they were found previously. And I believe it was like 3 to 6 days, the stairs would reappear in a different location and resume the same pattern of disappearing, leaving a burn mark where they were previously, and then reappear in a different location. And it happened several times until it just stopped and they never reappeared.
That's fucked out.
Yeah.
I hope that one's real.
Yeah, I know. I know. That one, I was like, that's a good one. I mean, it's several people that saw it. It's not just one person, claiming something.
And you said a burn mark too, right?
Yeah. Oh, and that was another thing is that because they're scientists, they were trying to chip off pieces of the stairs so they could take it back into the lab and monitor because it was giving off frequencies. And they said that it was made of like some kind of metal that you couldn't even chip away. It was like really reinforced.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The ghostly staircase in Sweden. So 2 Swedish students, Axel and Isaac, were on a hiking trip and found a staircase a few miles into their trek. One of the boys decided to climb the staircase, and as the legend claims that when he reached the top, the 2 boys heard a loud, deafening, piercing cry, at which point the boys bolted and ran away from the stairs. At some point, they had stopped to catch their breath, and the boy that was further up felt a hand being placed on his shoulder. Thinking that it was his friend behind him, he looked around only to find that his friend was much further back on the trail and could not have possibly placed his hand on his shoulder. So, yeah. Ghostly.
I like that
Ghostly
picture,
encounter
though.
with the staircase. Yeah. I do too. How it's being supported, I don't know, because it looks like it's pretty high.
All right, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And then the last one is the ranger stairs in the forest. Another account of finding an abandoned staircase in the forest of a national park was told by a park ranger to his trainee. As the story goes, he and another man had come upon a lone staircase in the woods when one of them decided to climb it in order to grab a tree branch, only to have his hand severed clean off. Yeah.
How did that happen?
I wonder if he like reached into the portal, and then it just like sliced it off. Yeah. And the hand's on the other side. And there were some accounts that they went looking for the hand, you know, as to reattach it or whatever, and they couldn't find anything.
See, like, now this was like kind of, I guess, like what you were even saying earlier. You know, again, this picture is legit and stuff. The thing that I do find weird with that is, like, it's rusted, but it really doesn't have anything growing on it either. So, like, it's been old enough to rust, but not grow vegetation, I guess. Was it moved? Like, like, I think what you had said something about, like, I guess, like, you can't, like, even if somehow weather was a factor.
Yeah, like if the hurricane or a tornado had
like
picked
the
up
odds
these
of like
stairs.
dropping it perfectly, like
Right.
that, yeah.
And then was it dropped yesterday? Because it has no vegetation on it. Yet it shows all signs of weathering. Look at the amount of rust on it.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking about that earlier. I did find that interesting, actually.
Yeah.
You know, again, if the picture's real, that is unusual to me.
Yeah.
Like that was like moved. Like I don't know, or there's something up with no. Why isn't anything growing on it? Who knows?
Yeah. And that was it for the lore associated with abandoned staircases.
Very good. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
right. And then I do have some that, I guess there's still lore behind, I guess, their existence and what they're used for. But, you know, I do have some, like, ones that are provable as being real. And I'll bring them up here. Here I do have how do you know how do you say
Etruscan?
it? Etruscan? Okay, that's what I thought.
I think. I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry if I am. The Etruscan pyramid of Bomarzo, Italy. And that goes back to, in 2008, a local resident named Salvatore, Fassi, rediscovered it. The pyramid-shaped altar, just a short distance from the famous Marco di Mostri in Bomarzo, which that basically is a park of monsters translated. The enormous Peperino rock was hidden by vegetation on the slopes of a deep canyon and was only discovered for the first time in the 1990s by 2 local archaeologists. So technically, this thing really, I guess, has been forgotten about until the 1990s and then rediscovered 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Even though it was quickly called the Pyramid of Bomarzo, the structure is not quite pyramid-shaped. In fact, it is a large boulder, roughly triangular, and conical shape, measuring 26 feet, 8 meters, by 53 feet, 16 meters, and standing some 33 feet, 10 meters high. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very interesting.
The boulder was known by locals as Sasso Predicatore. If I'm saying that correctly, the stone of the preacher. The front of the pyramid is separated into 2 levels. The first staircase has 20 steps and leads to a small altar. From there, 2 smaller staircases with 9 and 10 steps lead to the upper main altar on the top. The right front side is very angular and has prominent deep grooves and channels running from the top to the very bottom of the pyramid, suggesting a sacrificial role of these altars. Between the stairs, several square holes remain, seemingly used to hold poles and similar structural parts. The altar is positioned towards the northwest, facing the direction of the Etruscan underworld gods, or they would call them the De Inferi, if I'm even saying that right. And we'll change the picture too. I think here you can kind of see in these pictures before I go on, kind of like what I was saying before about like the grooves cut into it. And I mean, I'll be getting into it in a little bit, but that goes into why they think this might have been ritualistic. So, I mean, I guess you can start using your imagination now about, you know. The pyramid is believed to be an altar dating back to the 7th or 6th centuries BC, used by the soothsayers who practiced divination by inspecting the entrails of sacrificed animals. This art of divination was a key element to those people around there and in their religious scriptures, and it had a significant influence on Roman culture. The area surrounding the pyramid is also loaded. I should have grabbed them, but I really wasn't going to add too much. Didn't want to get too much off the topic. But there is other pictures that you can find. There is other like inscriptions, tombs, and medieval like ruins things around that area too. It's not just the stairs. There is like some other stuff around there that does add to its weirdness, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I guess to get an idea if this is some sort of ceremonial or religious type thing. What were these, Etruscans or whatever you call them? What were they into? And I got a little bit of that. And it says the religion was formed from the Iron Age practices of Villanovan culture and was heavily influenced by the Greek mythology and also shared similarities with emerging Roman culture. The religion was polytheistic, and a heavy emphasis was placed on the power of the deities. The Etruscans believed that all visible phenomena were divine manifestations. But their pantheon didn't differ too much from that of their neighbors. The gods called Ais, Ace, in the Etruscan language, were split into 3 layers. The lowest layer was reserved for the common indigenous deities: Usil, the god of sun, Tiver, the moon god, and Laren, the god of war, and his consort Turan, the goddess of love and fertility.
It's so weird that it says AIs.
Yeah,
I think it says
AIs.
Yeah. That's odd.
In the second layer are the Greek deities that were clearly adopted under their early influence. We have Paca, Artemi, and Minerva, the Etruscan equivalents to Bacchus, Artemis, and Minerva. The highest aspect of the pantheon was the Trinity that ruled over all: Tinia, god of the sky, his wife Uni, and the goddess of earth, Cel, with one L, C-E-L. And Uni was U-N-I. From this elaborate pantheon, a complex system of priests and officials arose. The most important religious figures of the society were the Netzvies, who made the centerpiece of daily life and social events. The most prominent form of religious practice was divination from the liver. The priest would sacrifice sheep and examine the bumps on the liver. These would be studied to divine on important happenings. And perhaps it is the well-attested custom of animal sacrifice that ties so perfectly with the nature of the pyramid itself.
I briefly worked inside of a slaughterhouse collecting stuff. And when they, do all of the, take the animal apart and everything, they have to wait for the veterinarian to look at the liver, and he inspects the liver first for any kind of markings, parasites, blemishes, whatever. And the moment he says it's okay on the liver, then the entire carcass is good to go to process.
Wow.
So it's funny that they check the liver. That's all I'm saying.
Huh. There must be something up with that.
Well, it filters everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anything,
Yeah.
anything you take in, it's going through your.
Yeah, and the liver, I will say this, is one of the best organ meats to eat. And a lot of people, I know in Hispanic culture, they claim that if you eat a lot of organ meat, you are pretty good against most infections, diseases, or anything like that. They talk about leading to longevity if you eat organ meat.
Wow.
So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but
that's
yeah.
interesting fun fact. No, that's actually very weird, though, that you mentioned they do the same thing. They check the livers. So the first discovery of the pyramid introduced a lot of speculation and new theories that became a matter of much debate in scientific circles. With this stepped altar being a slightly unique find in the in the sphere of this culture, there is still a lot to be understood about its possible uses. But one telltale clue gives us the important connection: the long grooves and channels that descend down the front slope of the pyramid. The most common explanation of these channels connect to ritual sacrifice. The Etruscans, if it were them who carved it, were known for the sacrifice of animals in their religious practice. This ties in perfectly with the whole look of the pyramid, and the blood flowing down the grooves could have played another role, perhaps unknown to us. Another clue places emphasis on the religious nature. The altar is orientated to the towards the northwest, supposedly facing towards the underworld and their dark gods. All these details combined can signify a very important site for the Etruscans, and perhaps some sort of religious place for them. So, I mean, there's a lot of speculations, but this thing does exist, and it's pretty friggin' old. And
yeah, the blood running through the grooves reminds me of Game of Thrones at the beginning.
Yes.
The intro. The intro when they're having the blood run through everything. It's opening, closing things.
There's something else I feel like, oh, God, what is that movie with the guy with the pins all over his face? Hellraiser. For some reason, doesn't something happen with the blood, I think, gets into the thing and goes through all the grooves? I don't know.
I think so.
It could
it's
be
so
old.
long ago.
Oh, God, yeah, that movie's so fucking old.
That's interesting that they would do the whole blood thing through the grooves.
Yeah. Oh, and then here, I thought this was interesting. Here's the top part of it, where I guess how you can kind of see it's like a little bit more of just kind of like a boulder. Unfortunately, maybe because of the quality of the video, you can't really see it too well. But I went to go, the format this was in, it was easier for me to click on it and then just take a screenshot of it and then try to crop it. It was like a web page thing, whatever. So when I went to go, edit it inside, Microsoft, it told me the pixel size down at the bottom of it, and it's 1,000 by 666.
Stop.
And I'm like, yo.
No. Are you kidding?
I'm like, yo, the pixels, the size of this photo has 666 in it.
What are the odds?
Come on. So I had to include that. I mean, happen chance of sure. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, but that's just weird to me.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I just want to include that. I don't know if people can see you too well on the screen. Maybe if I sharpen this post, maybe you'll be able to see it. But it's definitely 1,000 by 666.
I have a quick question. I think you covered it one time. What is the thing that they ask people to do to they say the morning sun and then midday?
Oh, Liberash. Yeah, that was
Liberash.
actually something that we had spoken about that we probably I really would like to actually talk about that and cover that with you, but
Yeah, but it was it northwest that they said at night that you're supposed to
in
towards?
the morning you're facing the east, then midday you're facing south, then at night you're going to face west, and then like midnight or like dark, like deep, real dark, you're going to be facing the north. And that's like when you have Kefra. I think if I read my correctly, you even have Kefra with Libra Rush. That would be, the beetle that's black,
Right. So it's in the vicinity of northwest. That's not a stretch.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's
Gotcha.
like, yeah. Something to think about. All right. So here, now we have Madame Sherry's castle, Chesterfield, New Hampshire. I think this one is just kind of like a funny story, but it also, it can also make you wonder like what was going on at this place as well. Who knows? The glamorous eccentric, through fabulous, and this is Madame Sherry I'm talking about, threw fabulous parties at her castle in the middle of the forest and drove around the town in a custom-made cream Packard car with a monkey perched on her shoulder. Madame Sherry, born Antoinette Bramar, married actor and dancer Andre Riella in 1911, and the couple moved to New York and changed their name to Sherry. Mystery surrounds the reason for this name change as well as other aspects of their life together. In New York, Madame Sherry made a name for herself designing elaborate costumes for Broadway productions, most notably the Ziegfeld Follies. After her husband's death, she decided to build a unique structure in the woods of Chesterfield, New Hampshire, to hold parties for her theater friends. And I'm going to move over. And this is even kind of like what they say it kind of looked like back in the day. Again,
That's pretty elaborate,
Yeah.
especially for back in the day.
Yeah. That's supposed to be the house originally,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got. Madame Sherry lived in a more modest house nearby and used the bigger property to entertain. The quirky castle, as it became known locally, had 3 stories and a massive staircase outside the house. A lot of this was made possible by the generous gifts Madame Sherry received from her former assistant, Charles Lemaire, if I'm saying that correctly, who later went on to become an Academy Award-winning costume designer. When this money ran out, the parties too came to an end, and the castle fell into disuse. Madame Shelley fell on hard times and died in poverty in 1965 as a ward of the state.
So sad.
Yeah. It's just funny not funny. I find what I found interesting about this one is just like, somebody who's kind of like involved with the arts, and I guess like they had money and they might have been like a who's who, and they're throwing parties. Like they're basically saying that she had this kind of castle in the middle of the woods. So it's like, who knows what kind of weird stuff was going on there sometimes, and who knows what that staircase has seen or been a part of in some way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like being a fly on the wall in that place, who knows?
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And nobody took her in? I mean, nobody...
Well, that's what I even found was weird, too.
That's
was
weird.
like, but see, when I looked into the ward of the state, I mean, back, technically, the definition is that, to me, what I got out of it is that that's normally for like a child or an adult if they're incapable of taking care of themselves and like mentally off.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's like, what happened to this lady that she ended up like in the cuckoo's nest? You know,
It was at the parties. It was what they were doing at the
was it due
parties.
to the partying at the
Yeah,
castle?
yeah.
So I just found it very weird. Like, the lady has this castle, she's involved. And, in some other articles and stuff, they will even state that she was hanging out with the elites. But I don't know. But if she was like part of some clique, and who knows what the hell they were doing over there in the middle of the woods, maybe the lady fried her brain out.
Yeah. Either on drugs or whatever the rituals they were doing.
Maybe she got used, taken advantage of, and in a way like pimped out and used, and just got burnt out. Could be a very sad tale, actually. Who knows? It was thanks to Anne Stokes, who loved the property and its theatrical legacy, that the property was permanently protected. Anne purchased it shortly after Madame Sherry passed away in 1965. Over the next several years, she hosted several concerts and parties using the foundation and stairway as a stage for elaborate sound and lighting displays. She decided to permanently protect the land in 1976 when she donated a conservation easement on 488 acres to the Forest Society, followed by the full fee ownership in 1991.
That's a lot of acreage.
Yeah, 88. Simultaneously, the Forest Society transferred the original conservation easement into to the Nature Conservancy.
Conservancy.
Yes, In 2005, Anne donated an additional 25.5 acres that contains the remnants of the castle, the parking lot, and the primary trailhead to the Forest Society. So
it's weird how she just went with 488. She didn't want to go with 45, 490, round it up, round it down.
No, I mean, again, I know I'm always looking at things from an occult aspect, but if weird things was going on here, did this lady maybe know about that? Is that why? I thought it was interesting that she did use it for performance arts in some sort of way.
Right.
A Fellowship of Friends were very big into performance arts. Like certain cults are very big into, performance arts and weird stuff.
Yeah.
So, again, this is spitballing. I could be totally polar opposite of what really was going on. Yeah. It could have been a lady who was just had some friends with some shit bands that she gave him a chance to play. And I was like, hey, isn't this cool? I bought this.
Use it
and
as
I
a
was like,
write-off.
I'm not using this. I'm just going to get rid of it. Maybe as easy as that. But no, the numbers and stuff, I always look at that and I just find it interesting. That's why I just the 488.
Yeah.
And then I think that will bring us up to this last one that I got here. This is, I don't even know how the hell you... Phnom Kulin, Cambodia, if I'm saying that correctly. And that a team of international archaeologists had just begun exploring a mysterious ancient staircase in the Phnom Kulin in Siem Reap province, near the Angkor World Heritage Site in northwestern Cambodia. The name of this thing actually means Mountain of the Leches or Leches?
Likes.
Mountain of the Likes. And is a mountain range stretching over 12.8 kilometers along the Angkor Plain. The 487-meter ascent to sacred Phnom Kulin is steep and rocky. And it has a symbolic importance, and it is venerated by Cambodians, as it is the site where the Khmer Empire originated. At some time between the 9th and 13th centuries, a powerful leader decided to build a more comfortable ascending path to the sacred site. The place where the staircase was built was carefully chosen by avoiding cliffs and rocks. Unknown ancient builders constructed of 550-meter staircase made of red stone known as laterite, originating from the mountain itself. The laterite has been widely used as construction material, for example, in Konkan region of These Maharashtra, India too. These names. I don't know why I picked these places, because it's like I know I can't. I can't say half this shit though. You know, and it's like I don't care to even learn how to say it, which is horrible.
It's really hard.
I have had actually a couple of people even give a shout out to Nix. There was something in some way that she showed me online. There was some tool to use where she's like, you can basically figure out how to pronounce any word.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, thanks. You know, making it obvious that I don't.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I was like, how nice of you. Thank you. I know. Yeah, that's why actually I'm going to have her coming on soon again, too. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I saw that she had covered a topic on Lee's show, and like, I mean, I would assume like not everybody that listens to me listens to him, so I figured I could get her on this show and cover it, and it would probably be like new to like 99% of the people listening to my show. So
Good. Awesome.
yeah, and it's like going to be a multiple part series too, because like she said, like she barely even touched the surface of all the info she has. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. She's a very good researcher.
She is
Very good.
Really is.
She's actually had like 2 other, I think, people ask her to come on now due to coming on my show. So I was like, oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very happy for that. It's nice to see that happen. All right, so enough about Nick's busting my balls about my pronunciation. This mysterious 15-meter wide staircase, known locally as Plu Seer, of which precise date of construction is for now unknown, survived many generations and were undoubtedly used by pilgrims. Last century archaeological survey in the area of Phnom Penh identified more than 30 different temple ruins, grids of dikes, roads, and canals hidden under sediment and vegetation over the past 12 centuries.
Wow.
Yeah. Was the staircase constructed in the immediate aftermath of the Java Varman II's 802 CE Declaration of Independence from the former Empire of Java, when the king assembled a new mountaintop city that is widely considered to be the start of the Khmer Empire? Or was it constructed a few centuries later after the capital had moved to the Angkor Thom on the plains in the late 12th century, suggesting the mountain remained a regular path of pilgrimage to the sculpted caves and carved riverbeds locals continued to build? Who knows? A lot of people don't... there's a lot of speculation that I'm really not sure. The staircase is interposed with 4 larger flat constructions that appear to have functioned as rest areas with access to spring water, but there are no carvings or other remains that could shed some light on history on the staircase. Now, when it says that, I'm guessing, kind of like with some stuff, you know, if it's true about some of the pyramids, how like some of them actually really don't have much drawn on them.
No, right.
So I'm wondering if they're saying that like there's like really not much like actual detail, like nothing drawn, no art, no carvings that could even give them an idea of like who might have been there. That's what I'm getting at what they're saying.
And it could be that they've been weathered so down that the carvings literally have disappeared, or, you know, the tooling of the actual carving has been weathered away.
I mean, especially if you're
I'm
go too
assuming
deep in.
if you're,
I guess that's possible, yeah.
And it's wet and humid over there, so even more so, the degradation is going to be much more significant versus if it was like in a desert or something.
And the archaeologists are hoping to use LiDAR and ground surveys in their exploration of the staircase in the sacred area as well. So, who knows?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the stone that they used? That red stone?
No.
It's interesting.
Well,
I never have either.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, have you?
I've never. No. But it seems interesting that they would pick that one out of all of them. And then you go back to the whole red brick thing. You know, the ancient, what is it? Those theory of that they used to use red brick because it would conduct electricity for buildings and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's interesting that they would use the red stone.
Yeah. You know, I do find that interesting because I don't know if I mentioned it on the show before, but I think like I don't know if it still is today. Probably in the country at least. I don't know if at one point in the world it might have been, but in this country at least, and it still might be, the number one biggest site for most red brick used was Pilgrim State, of course, on Long Island. Like the most red bricks ever, I think, used is over there. And I was like, you know, if you have stuff that can conduct electricity, let's just say there's something to that. And there is EMF issues in that area. I mean, you're going to have people who seem like they're nuts if it gets bad enough anyway.
Right. I looked it up and it says laterite is a rock type rich in iron and aluminum and is mainly found in areas between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. And it has the highest thing of iron oxide.
I wonder if that's good for heat. Interesting.
Iron is, I mean, which some of that red brick has a lot of iron in it too. The ones for the construction. And that's what they claim that the whole, you know, conducting electricity was for. Interesting. And they would put spires up at the top.
Really?
On some of these buildings, that had the red brick on them. I know very little about it, just tangentially what I see posted.
Yeah, no, I have
I've
come across
never
stuff about the
deep dived on it.
About stuff with red brick and, you know, supposed stuff with it. You know, and I did look into it enough to, you know, I kind of took it serious and just did make me like, for some reason, I don't know if it was school or for what reason, I know, like probably because it's on Long Island and it's not too far from me, that place had like the most red bricks ever used in its, you know, psychiatric center. So, I mean, you know, and then like that made me think about that right away. I was like, oh wait, there's a ton of it.
Are they pulling
a ton of that shit? Yeah. There's a ton of those bricks over where there's a ton of crazy people, you know, and electricity and EMF and all that. You know, it makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
You know, if it works and does give on with EMF.
Right.
I do think it's like, how are you not affecting the people there, possibly?
Right. Or are they harvesting?
It's weird,
from them.
Yeah, that's getting very conspiratorial now, but.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I'll back away.
No, I'm joking.
Step away.
Yeah, it was funny. We went from having red bricks to harvesting salt. That's great.
But that is pretty interesting that they were using red bricks even over there at that time.
See, and listen, I do say a lot that I do think electricity has something to do with magic in a sense.
Yeah.
So like this stuff has like, you know, even when I have come across like things, you know, the whole red brick thing and just thinking about, you know, red bricks besides over in Pilgrim State, other things built with them, I do, you know, start to wonder, is that for a reason?
Right. Why that one out of all of them?
Yeah.
Why did you use that one out of all of them, right?
You know, or is there other bricks that get used for other properties? Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's all I really had to myself. But I just thought, like I said, you know, all those kind of seem to have a very, I think, interesting story about them. They weren't kind of the conventional stairs that we were showing, you know, in the first part of the video, but they are, I guess, kind of, you know, things that do have stairs out there in the woods that have some very interesting, you know, history behind it. Whether it was probably some weird sacrificial thing. This thing could have been some other, like, weird, you know, religious thing. Oh, no, it may not have been weird, who knows. And then we had this party castle that the lady ends up in the psych ward after the fact.
Tying it back into the red brick and the people of the psych wards.
Oh, shit.
Maybe that's why she went crazy.
Yeah, I should look to see what it was made out of. Yeah. I think unfortunately, it might have started falling apart already. and that I think if anybody was like thinking about going there, which I'm sure they weren't, you can't really get too close to it because like now it's like taped off, and I think parts have actually fallen apart to where like I think either they're gonna take it down or they're just letting it just fall to pieces.
And in the occult world, stairs and ladders.
I mean, to me,
how is that viewed?
I mean, like a spiral staircase. I mean, I guess like I could look at it in multiple ways. Like that, I would look at maybe something more like a DNA spiral or, staircases. To my opinion, I think something just like Jacob's ladder in multiple ways.
Right.
To actual electricity, or like your vertebrae. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
It's the spiral staircases. I've even wondered again. I know I've mentioned like the downward spiral, like 9 Inch Nails. That I have questioned if gravity or whatever is keeping us here is more of like a spiral energy or something like that. So I've questioned if spiral staircases, you're doing the same thing coming down them.
And going back.
Going back up, you'd be going against the current, I guess.
Wow.
Like the salmon, the pink salmon
Yeah,
do. That's
yeah,
the color
yeah,
for
yeah.
different. Going against the current, back
Oh,
up together.
wow.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Stuff like that. Yeah, completely wrong.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess if somebody gave me a bunch of bricks of material and was like, build some weird staircase, if I had a spiral staircase, that would be my reasoning behind building that.
I think of
to
staircases,
signify that idea.
Yeah, when I think of staircases, I think of all the stairs down in like the Mayan temples and the Aztec ones, and then the steps up in Inca with the Incan Empire in Machu Picchu. So it seems like even in antiquity, these things were a big deal.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to, and I was telling you that I wanted to find, and I guess this is kind of like, like a little lore-ish or maybe conspiratorial, but I was assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming, I mean, it depends on, I guess, how much budget they had, but in Apocalypse Now, I'm just taking a guess that when they got down to that area where it was, very weird and cultish, and, the guy was Brando was down there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that probably had existed and they did not build that. I'm actually questioning that stuff.
That's why they picked to film there.
Because it was already there and they could use it.
Yeah.
Like that probably is some really elaborate shit. And like that's like out in the middle of like, I think it was like the Philippines or wherever there was a couple different places they shot at, but I found that interesting. I was trying to actually look that up because I was really interested in finding out what the history is with that, because like with me believing and just taking a guess that it existed prior to that movie, was that like made by villagers, some ancient civilization? What's the story behind kind of people building their civilization into like the woods, and like caves and walls and stuff?
And isn't the Philippines and that whole area associated with the serpent cult as well, or something? I want to say that I read something that they had an association with that as well. But going back to the vertebrae, because of like if you were to, just look at the vertebrae of a snake, you see it looks like staircases.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I even mentioned the vertebrae before too.
Mm-hmm.
Even with
yeah.
But yeah, I had just wondered, like, what could have been the maybe the history behind that area, but to get an exact location, and I'm sure to find like, oh, here's where it was shot, you're not gonna find that. Right. But definitely thought that could have had something interesting behind it.
For sure.
And that is the end, I guess, of this episode. Again, it was just something weird and interesting. I found it weird and interesting, and just like even like these other ones that I covered that did exist, especially that one in Italy. That is
That one
pretty.
was weird.
Yeah, I mean with the.
Because it was an altar, wasn't it?
Yeah. I would
me
even
what it
say
said.
like, it doesn't necessarily had to have been blood that was going through that, but I definitely do think it was some sort of ritualistic thing, where if it wasn't like water or something would be flowing through that.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, I think like Egyptians also had very much stuff like that, where they would have these long paths, and they'd have like flowing water coming out and going down them too, and it was very long, like ritualistic paths for them, and they had stuff kind of like carved in places for water to fill up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it may not necessarily have been sacrificial blood, but I'm sure there was probably some ritualistic or ceremonial aspect to those for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. And thank you very much for jumping on. I appreciate it, Lisa.
Absolutely. That was fun.
Hell yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's pretty much, like I said before, I was hoping to maybe cover something with Teresa, another serial killer. That was kind of interesting, and my opinion, to, I guess, glamorize it more, but for the body counts, and I never really heard of the person. I was like actually kind of surprised, and where it happened too. I was like, damn, how did I not know who this person is? So hopefully be trying to get that out as well for the month of October, close to Halloween. And if all things go correctly, I guess since this will be coming out closer to Halloween, unfortunately the footage definitely won't be out unless I happen to somehow figure out some way to stream live with my equipment, because there is a way for me to do that. I just have not really looked into it, and I'd have to get Wi-Fi thing, all this other stuff. But I will be going down to Salem on Halloween.
Nice.
And I will be
Very
there.
nice.
Yeah, the night before and the day of. I don't know about the night before, but I think the day of, one of those, hopefully, Ron from Wicked Planet will also be joining me. But
That's going to be
pretty
awesome.
much just going to walk around with my equipment, and I got, wireless mics and stuff, interview people, bullshit with people. Why are you here? People in costumes. Do you come, where are they from? Well, what's your idea of Halloween or magic? Just want to ask some.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
just ask some
really,
silly,
really cool.
fun
That's
questions
fun.
and just walk around and just interview random. Because, I mean, I've gone there one other time, a long time ago, probably like 13, 14 years ago. I did go there on Halloween, and that place was like a shit show. But, like, not in a bad way. It's just like,
Yeah.
it was like to the point to where
Full on.
it was like, if anybody's ever been to the city, like when you're walking down like the sidewalk and you're like this and getting bumped, I was just like, holy shit. But it was a slower pace because it wasn't Manhattan. It was like that in Salem, where you were just like, oh my, like it was packed. And street stuff will go on too. You'll be walking down the street, and all of a sudden, like, they suck you in. They start part of their show out in the street, and then you follow them down to their building. And then if you want to see the rest of the show, now you got to come in and pay $15. But like, they'll be like elaborate stage stuff kind of out in the streets, and they always they have like, you'll have people just standing there in costume, like in a pose for 2 fucking
That's
hours.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I love Halloween.
Yeah,
so
it's just
that's
weird,
really,
wild
really cool.
stuff there
Yeah.
that I was like, yo, I got to grab that shit and just do some interviews. And if Ron, said he'd come down, and somebody else may even also, I just, fingers crossed, and don't want to jinx myself. Not going to brag about it. But I might, it might be a few of us. But if not, hopefully at least Ron. And if it doesn't, nobody comes down, then it will be me. And my wife is the cameraman.
Nice.
I'm
Very good.
still gonna do it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really the thing is like I really want to like get somebody else to go too, because like I might actually be tempted to at some points toss on the AA rope.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Or like have Ron doing the interview and I'm just standing there in my full fucking hooded AA robe, just like standing next to the guy, and like to the point to where like I'm hoping maybe he doesn't know that I'm actually part of the people there. And he's just like, fuck is this weird?
That's awesome. That would be great.
Yeah, I want to try to do some funny shit with my outfit if I bring it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm just honestly, I mean, I think in Salem I can get away with it. There, I guess probably on Halloween I could for sure get away with it. But like,
right.
It's kind of like, not to brag, but like putting that robe on and that hood, it makes kind of an impression. You know, people might be like, yo, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, yo, is this the real deal right here? Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what kind of reaction
I
I'll
can't
get
wait
from
to
the
see
crowd.
it if you do it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that would be great to see.
But yeah, I'm gonna try to have a lot of fun, just to go out there, interview people, just like some fun stuff that people can check out. It won't be like a topic or anything really. I mean, I'm sure I'll stop at some of the things out there and maybe touch on a little bit of the history of it and maybe some occult symbolism or architecture, but like I'm really going to try to focus in on like the whole scene and just what Halloween is down there, Try to get some of the stores to allow me to come in, maybe try to talk to them.
Do y'all just do Halloween and that's it, or does it extend all the way into like All Souls Day or anything like that?
I know, it's just really just Halloween and like the night before. Yeah, the night before you go out and do stupid shit, and Halloween you go out and
Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, when you were younger, you egged people's houses and threw toilet paper in their trees. Halloween. And then, you got the shaving cream and you had to like melt the tips or like squirt out straight.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
That's a technique. That's a technical way.
Yeah, when we were young and we didn't have cell phones to be on, we sat down and figured out ways to be able to make our shaving cream can, stream out, straight, fucking 10 feet far, so we can spray each other with shaving cream out in the streets. And spray paint "fuck you" on a stop sign. With shaving cream. Yeah. That's what we did instead of like sit on our phones.
That sounds like a lot more fun.
Yeah, it was actually. Riding my bike around the neighborhood to find out what was going on and getting into shit was actually a lot more fun than sitting on my phone.
Yeah.
For sure.
No. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened.
They put these black screens in front of us. We got sucked in.
Oh, God, yeah. Kubrick got us with the fucking monolith.
Yeah. Yeah. Those black mirrors.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I guess that's enough now. We'll wrap this up. That was a good one. Thank you very much again, Lisa, for jumping on.
Absolutely. That was fun.
Yes. Oh, it always is. It always is. And I'm sure we'll be working on something soon anyway. So, and that is it for the NY Patriot Show. All the links are in the bottom, and definitely, take a look out for the Salem stuff that should be out after Halloween. Again, if I can get, I guess, the equipment. I mean, I can get the equipment, but if I want to take the time to figure out to actually like walk around with something that's going to be able to stream possibly multiple cameras, because that's the thing. I'm going to have more than one camera. I don't want to have to get stuck streaming with one. But I do. They're all Panasonic, and there is a way to link them. And, if I want to be bothered doing all that, I may be able to stream out on, Halloween or Halloween Eve. If I do happen to have that capability, keep an eye out because... I may just pop up and just go live on the platform. So, and I think that will only probably be to YouTube because I think just to make it easiest for me doing it through the cameras, it'll just go to YouTube. So yeah, take a look out for that. Keep an eye open. That's enough. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.